How does a blackberry streusel muffin sound? One with so much fruit that is barely held together by the batter. Hi, I'm Carolyn, and this is the Chili Bakes Gluten-Free Podcast, and that's what we're making today. Amazing muffins. They are so delicious, you won't want to stop eating them. Seriously, you'll want to hoard them from all your friends, hide them from your spouse. I'm not saying these are good things to do, but they are so delicious and unlike most of the muffins out there, and they're easy, and I'm going to show you how you do. I can't say it, but I'm going to show you how to do it today, and I'm really excited to have you. So thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't been here before, I make gluten-free bakes. They're so good you won't miss the wheat because they taste the same. So that's the whole point, is to make something gluten-free that you wouldn't know is gluten-free, that's so delicious. And that's what we're making today. I'm really excited. Oh my gosh, I can't stop eating these muffins every time I make them, and neither will you. So I'm really excited. Let's start to baking. Yay! Muffins! Muffins. Everybody loves muffins, right? And streusel muffins, even better. So the dry ingredients are going into a pretty large bowl. This is 1 3/4 cups, cup for cup multi-purpose flour, 1/4 cup blanched almond flour. It adds a little bit more flavor and actually a little more protein and fat to gluten-free flour, which can sometimes be a little bit bland. This is a teaspoon of sweet rice flour, which I use to give a little bit of wheaty chew to things without adding wheat. And there's 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And we're just going to do a whisk here. And we're done with the dry ingredients. All right, to make the streusel topping, we're going to use 3/4 cup of cup for cup multi-purpose flour. And we're going to use 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of sweet rice flour. I think it makes things hold together a little better, so that's why I'm adding that. A 1/4 cup of, what am I saying here? Brown sugar, packed brown sugar. And this is softened butter. It's about 3 tablespoons. It is 3 tablespoons. What am I saying about? Anyway, I'm going to mix this in, and then I'm going to cut the butter in with a fork. And the whole purpose is to get nice, rich, buttery crumble. So I'm going to do this off camera, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So I've mixed in all the brown sugar so there are no lumps. It's easier to do that before you add the butter. And then we're just going to cut this in with a fork. You could also use your fingertips. You don't want the butter so soft that it makes a paste. You want the streusel to be crumbly. And if it's too hot, your butter's too hot and it kind of is coming together, you can always stick it in the fridge and let it get colder and then keep mixing. So if it starts forming a paste, then just stop what you're doing and chill it a little bit. And this is going to take me a minute. So I'm going to stop the camera and I'll show you what this looks like at the end. Actually, first I'm going to add a sprinkle of ginger. I wasn't going to add any, and often I add nuts to my streusel or crumble. I want it to be pretty basic tasting, but just a little bit of ginger will give just separate the flavor from the muffin a little bit. So that's, just be careful, just a little sprinkle. So it's not super gingery, it just has a little different flavor than the muffin, or more flavor. All right, I'm going to keep mixing off camera and then I'll get back to you. All right, here's what we have when we finish mixing. Doesn't streusel, I can't say it, make everything better, just like a nice buttery crumble on top. I'm so excited about the muffins. But this is what it should look like. A little bit like breadcrumbs with some slightly bigger chunks. You don't want giant chunks of butter that are just going to melt everywhere. It's a little bit sweet. You can smell a little tiny bit of the ginger, and that's what you want. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, these muffins are going to be amazing. All right, let's get to the rest of them. Let's mix the wet ingredients together. We have 1/2 cup of butter. It's slightly soft, but I wouldn't say it's softened because we want to cream it well with 1 cup of granulated sugar. And I'm going to use a beater to do that. You can do it by hand, but this should be quicker. Well, my butter is not as soft as I initially hoped, but let's just see. Okay, this is going to take a minute. I will get back to you as soon as this is mixed. So now the butter and sugar are well creamed. There's no big chunks of butter, and everything's soft and mixed well. You really want to mix it well before you add the other ingredients, because the thing with muffins is you don't want to overmix them. And they're gluten-free, so they're a little more forgiving, I feel like, but you still don't want to overmix them. So we're going to take this and put it aside. And we're going to mix the wet ingredients together. So this is 1 egg and 1 egg yolk. And then we're adding a 1/4 cup of milk. And we're adding a 1/4 cup applesauce. I add that to keep bakes moist. And if you add a lot of oil, sometimes gluten-free bakes get weighed down. So applesauce is a good way to keep moisture in without adding extra oil. And then a teaspoon of vanilla. And we're going to whisk this together. And then we'll add it to our other ingredients after we add some dry. Break up the egg. And that's good enough. Okay, this is getting set aside. Now, we're going to beat in about half the dry. All right. Slowly, because otherwise you'll have flour everywhere. All right, it's going to look crumbly like that. Then we're going to add the wet. Whoa. Scrape any wet stuff out. We're going to use a whisk. This is my Dutch whisk. This thing is amazing. All right. And then the rest of the dry. All right. I want to make sure there's no dry, but just mix it until it's coming together, and then the berries go in. And we're just going to kind of gently stir these in. I don't want to break them up. If you break them up by stirring them too much, what's going to happen is you're going to have purple muffins, which that's not what I'm hoping for. So there's 2 cups of fresh blackberries going in. And I'm going to change to a different mixing tool. I'm going to use what's this thing called? Spatula. There we go. Oh my gosh, this is super thick batter. But these are amazing. You are going to love these. Oh, so yummy. It is so studded and packed with fruit. It's amazing. And you just want to kind of distribute them as well as you can. Okay. Alrighty. And that looks good. So because the dough is so thick, I like to use a scoop. This is number 24, which is like 2½ tablespoons of dough. We want to fill the muffin cups, not totally the top. This is like an ancient muffin pan and everything sticks, which is a huge bummer. So I don't want things to go over the edge too much. And since the blackberries are so big, I try to make sure I get lots of blackberries in every muffin. And it's a full-size scoop. If I tamp that down, it will not be the whole cup. So when it melts, it should be exactly the right size. So, oh my gosh, these are so good. And I'm going to scoop the whole tray here. And then they're going in the oven. They're going in the oven at 350. So here's the tray of muffins. I like to use liners. You don't have to, but it's just much easier to get out, especially when there's big chunks of fruit. These blackberries are a little larger than the ones I normally use, which means sometimes you get ones that don't have so much fruit. So what I do is there's a little bit extra blackberries. I bought 2 containers, and 2 cups is a little less. So if you need to add extra blackberry here and there, you just can stick one on there. There we go. Okay. Now, that's a lot of blackberries. And then we just take a generous sprinkle of the streusel, and you can overdo it because what happens is the muffin will puff up and start to, I don't know, some of it kind of sticks to the sides and some of it doesn't, so we want to be very generous about the streusel topping. It looks like I'm burying them, but this is fun. And I'm going to do the whole tray, and into the oven they go. All right, these took about 25 to 30 minutes. And they're really hot, so I'm going to let these cool, and then I'm going to show you these beautiful muffins. Oh my gosh, don't they look good? Yum. Hey, if you want gluten-free bakes that no one will want to stop eating, whether they eat wheat or not, keep watching the channel and seeing what I come up with. I'm always up to some kind of mischief or another, and I'm always baking, and they're always delicious and gluten-free. So please rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps me know that what I'm doing is helping people and that they're enjoying it. I love having you here, and I really appreciate it. I love baking, and I'm glad to share it with you. So thank you for joining me. All right, here's the tray of muffins. They look amazing. The streusel kind of melts into the top, and they get some nice brownie bits. Here's my muffin. take 2, which means I've already eaten half. Anyway, it's got a nice crispy top, and look how many blackberries are in it. I mean, they look pink now, but holy smokes, that's a lot of blackberries, right? So, that's such good flavor. There's so many berries that it's barely, it's barely held together by the muffin. And, sorry, my phone said low power there. It's barely held together by the muffin. The streusel makes a crisp topping, which is really good. It's very moist, but not oily. You know how sometimes you get a muffin with no flavor and it's super oily? This is not that muffin. So it takes a while to cook, maybe because it has so much fruit in it, but it's just packed with fruit. The tart blackberry with the vanilla, it's what you want a muffin to taste like that it usually doesn't, right? Usually it's missing flavor, it's greasy, it's whatever. This I guess you can almost taste the ginger. You can taste that the topping's a little different, but you wouldn't know it's ginger. And then there's a nice vanilla flavor of the muffin, which is how I want a plain muffin to taste with tons of blackberries. This is so delicious. I really hope you make it. I'm like, I can barely talk to you because, I love talking to you, but I really want to finish this muffin, which is terrible. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me again in the kitchen. I hope you enjoyed this bake as much as I did. You can drizzle some icing sugar on it. For gluten-free, sometimes things get soggy, so I would do it right beforehand and also not make the icing drizzle, just like the powdered sugar and water if you want to do a little bit of that, but they're plenty sweet. But if you're going to do it right before serving so that your muffins don't get soggy. The next podcast bake is March 6th, I think. I wrote it down. Yes, yay. March 6th, we're doing a lemon poppy seed loaf. It's going to be amazing. Lemon and poppy seed is so good. Those nice little pops of flavor, a beautiful bright lemon with the poppy seed is so good. I hope you had a good time baking with me today, and I really want you to try these. These are going to be better than any muffin you've had. It's really, really delicious. Really. I'm sorry, the groaning in the background was, I think that was Indy. I'm not sure, but not me. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Until then, bake something gluten-free, eat something delicious and gluten-free. Bye-bye.